Far be it from Wizards of the Coast to lay dormant for even 5 seconds. You can't just rest on your laurels, can you? No, you gotta keep doing things. And then because I talk about gaming news, I gotta be talking about them. And then people go, oh, you're such a simp for Wizards of the Coast. And I'm like, yeah, well, other game companies don't post as much news as Wizards of the Coast does. I mean, love them or hate them, they're never not busy. So a new Unearthed Arcana has gone up. We still don't know what the result of the previous Unearthed Arcana was with all the giants and dinosaurs and savage stuff because there hasn't been a new product announced other than Spelljammer. And I can't see the connection between giants and Spelljammer. Space giants? I mean, not that barbarian space dinosaurs wouldn't be cool, and I would love the idea of a pirate ship pirated by a Tyrannosaurus Rex through Spelljammer. If I ever run Spelljammer, that is definitely going to be one of the encounters, because that's just a cool image. All right, so yes, Unearthed Arcana called Wonders of the Multiverse. What does this mean? I don't know. It gives us some new stuff. Unearthed Arcana, we explore D&D character options from across the multiverse. It presents a new race, a new domain, some other stuff. Brings and another mention of rune carving. Is rune carving going to be rune carving was mentioned in the last one too. Maybe that's going to be a new type of magic. Could that mean we could finally justify dwarven spellcasters? Well, they're rune carvers. So multiverse. Well, we can't be playtesting for Radiant Citadel. That's coming out in like 3 days. Can't be playtesting for Spelljammer. Spelljammer's is in the box and ready to go. That should be out sometime in August. So 2 possibilities. Another Magic the Gathering setting that has something to do with the multiverse. I'm not Magic the Gathering aware enough because they've already done Ravinica. So I don't know. Or another new setting. Would they do Planescape after just finishing Radiant Citadel? Wouldn't it make more sense to just keep spinning off Radiant Citadel instead of doing Planescape? I mean, you could say, well, we did Radiant Citadel. That is the cornerstone. And now here's the rest of the world through Planescape. Now, I still think it's a mistake to do both Planescape and Spelljammer. I think they should focus on one or the other. Because I love space pirates, I would prefer them to focus on Spelljammer. I know people have said they're not the same thing because there's things you can do in Spelljammer you can't do in Radiant Citadel / Planescape, and there's vice versa, but they're the same thing. I still, there's basically just an idea generator that allows you to create a place where you could put anything you want. The only difference between Planescape and Spelljammer is how you get from point A to point B. And what that opens and doesn't open. Other than that, yeah, they're basically the same. So, well, let's see. What do we got? We have a new thing called the Glitchling, which are a merger of magic and machines. So they're winged homunculuses. They're homunculuses. They basically made a homunculus player race and changed its name. I don't know why you couldn't just have homunculus as a player race. Living robots. I mean, okay, take Glitchling, and how is a Glitchling different than a Warforged, which is also a living, magically powered robot? You already have Warforged. Why make Glitchlings? Glitchlings is kind of a bizarre name anyways. But whatever, I would have called them homunculuses or something like that. We have a new cleric subclass called the Fate Domain, which gives you some domain spells. It gives you ability to see the future, which allows you to cast an augury spell once per long rest. You have another ability called Ties That Bind. Which allows you to know which direction a character is going and do extra damage to a foe if you tie them to your fate, or heal a friend if you tie them to your fate. So basically you call Ties That Bind, you tie your fate to their fate, and during the duration of the special ability, you can always know where they are. If you cast a healing spell, they get healed more if it's a friend, and if it's a foe, because you can do both, you can do more damage to them. Then they have an ability called Strands of Fate, which is basically a low power version of Sanctuary as a class ability instead of a spell. It reads exactly like Sanctuary. Well, how they changed Sanctuary anyways. They've got some other things. We've got some new feats. Something called Gate Warden. Oh no, this is a new class? No, it's a new... What is this? Oh, it's a new background. No, it's a new class. What is this? No, okay. Wow, that is written really weird. Gate Warden is a new background. We have a new thing called Giant Foundlings, which is another new background that ties into the last one, because the last one was giant based, so these two are somehow connected. And then another background called Planner Philosopher. We have another background called Rune Carver. I like that one because it allows us to finally justify dwarven spellcasters. Oh, they're not spells, they're runes. We have a new feat called Agent of Order, Baleful Scion, Cartomancer, which is allows you to channel your magic through a deck of playing cards. Really? Really, Wizards of the Coast? You're going to steal some shit from Deadlands? Have you no shame? And Cartomancer? Wouldn't that be somebody who predicts the future through carts? Why couldn't you call it Cartomancer or Decomancer? So it's a feat. Only casters can take it, and basically, it makes you a huckster. They literally stole this from Deadlands. We have a Cohort of Chaos, which allows you to add some chaotic wackiness to your spells, similar to what a sorcerer could do. So you know how the sorcerer has a thing where if they roll on a d20, they get to and they roll a 1, they have this table to roll on to make wacky chaos stuff happen. Well, this one also does the same thing. It's not as versatile as that one, but could you imagine if you do a chaos sorcerer and at 4th level, give it this feat? Wow, that would be weird, but fun. You got another one called Ember of the Fire Giant, Fury of the Frost Giant, Guile of the Cloud Giant, Keenness of the Stone Giant, an Outlands Envoy, Righteous Heritor, Rune Carver Apprentice, Rune Carver Adept, Scion of the Elemental Heirs. Some of these are carryovers with the previous one. All these Giants things and these Scion things, these were also in the previous Unearthed Arcana, so I guess they didn't work out, or they weren't happy with the playtest yet, so they're doing it. We've got some new spells, got a new magic, a new monster, a couple new monsters. Yeah, I mean, nothing about this feels really multiversal. It kind of feels like just a continuation of what they already started with the previous one. And continuation of things that we've already seen, so maybe they're just fine-tuning. I don't know. This doesn't really make me feel like Planescape. Nothing about this really feels other dimensional, multiversal. Just feels like you're adding to things that were already there. Like the glitchling just kind of feels like, you're already, it's just a homunculus as a player character class. The fate domain, that kind of already exists. New backgrounds. These new backgrounds just sort of feel like the same ones they had in the previous one, but just extensions of them. Giant themed, elemental themed, very, primitive themed, with like words like rune carver. And then for some reason they throw in a character feat that allows you to cast magic through cards, because apparently they are blatantly ripping off Deadlands. Cohorts of Chaos. That does feel kind of planner. But then we have these giant ones, which are just, you already did these. And again, this feels very much similar to the previous playtest. Elemental theme, primitive themed, connection with elements themed, giant themed. This was all things we had in the previous one too. In fact, a lot of these sound exactly the same as the previous one. Some new spells, some new monsters. Nothing really here. I mean, the two new monsters aren't really that, it's like, yeah, okay. We've got a Reaper Spirit and a Warrior Spirit. They're basically just retagging things that already exist. We're not calling it a shadow or a shade anymore. We just changed the name. Now here's a Reaper Spirit and a Warrior Spirit. But really, I've already got incorporeal undead. Why do I need new incorporeal undead that pretty much do the exact same thing as previous incorporeal undead? I could just reskin an incorporeal undead and give it a new name. Other than this is all just kind of stuff I seen before. It looks like they're changing the age thing. Interesting. If you remember, post Tasha, they said that all characters can live to about 100 years, 150 years. We're getting rid of that, nebulous dwarves and elves live forever. Now it looks like they're bringing it back. This here says that if certain races don't meet a violent end, they can live for centuries. Dwarves and elves can live for centuries. So they got rid of that. Now they're bringing it back. Looks like that while... heightened weight. So it looks like they're changing that one back. Remember, because I had a lot of fun with this one, so I know you remember this. They had said your character can be as tall or short as you want, and can be as fat or thin as you want. It doesn't affect the mechanics of the game as far as we're concerned. All player character races are medium. So now it's just giving you so it's not saying that anymore. It's just basically saying, yeah, you know what? It is saying the same thing. It's like determine the height and weight randomly, or pick it. I was hoping they would get rid of that one. But that means my dream of a 6-foot-tall halfling basketball player is still possible. Anything else I missed? Yeah, no. Planescape. Why do Planescape if you just did Radiant Citadel? I don't know. Previous one was all giants, elemental, ruin, primitive, barbarian themed. This one feels like sort of a continuation of the previous one with a few extra things, including one that feels like a direct ripoff from Deadlands. Combine the two of them, Planescape. I mean, I know I just said this, but it feels weird for them to just put Radiant Citadel out and then do Planescape, because that makes Radiant Citadel pointless. Unless they're going to say, Radiant Citadel is the core, and everything that spills off of Radiant Citadel is the rest of the Planescape universe, multiverse, and here is the rules where we're going to explain it. Here's some more settings. We gave you some to jumpstart in Radiant Citadel, but now here's the map to do the rest. But then why do Spelljammer? Because now you're going to have Spelljammer and Planescape competing against each other, even though they pretty much kind of do the same thing. It's just how you tell the story is different. But basically, you've got these two multiversal engines fighting against each other. And Spelljammer and Planescape go head to head. And that, well, if we remember the past, when, they tried to do both at the exact same time, that was sort of the death knell, of AD&D. Going, and then the beginnings of Third. Of course, that was during the time when the transition from TSR to Wizards of the Coast happened. But yeah, there was just so many products coming out for Spelljammer and so many products coming out for Planescape, and they both kind of felt the same in a lot of ways unnecessary. Now, I might be alone in thinking this. I don't know. Other people, I'm sure, disagree with me that they're not the same, and that you can have both. I don't see the point. Have one or the other, Wizards of the Coast, and focus all your energy on one or the other. You're spreading yourself too thin. That's a recipe for disaster. We've seen it before. I mean, the goodwill towards Wizards of the Coast already from the industry and from the fan base is beginning to fade. You can only milk the Critical Role stuff for so long. That's beginning to fade, as we've seen recently. And who knows how much more time Critical Role shelf life has. I mean, it feels kind of like it's, how many more stories can they tell? I mean, I'm sure they're all exhausted, but that's the topic for a separate vlog. So blah, I've already talked about this for 17 minutes. So there you go. New Planescape-y, giant-y, multiversal, but not really stuff from Wizards of the Coast. Take a break, guys. Take a break. You just put 2 major products out between Citadel this month and Planescape next month. We don't need something every month from you. You could not do anything for a year now, and you've got enough stuff out there that you could just rest on your laurels, take a year off, and focus your energy on making the 2024 product just better than what we have right now. And sort of just put an end to all this 5e versus everybody else bullshit. And put an end to all the broadcasters that keep trying to perpetuate this 5e versus everybody bullshit. Yeah, okay, so new playtest stuff. Check it out. Link down below to let me know what you think. Do you agree with me about Planescape and Radiant Citadel? Do you disagree? Do you agree with me about Planescape versus Spelljammer? Do you disagree?